Welcome to Courtney's Thoughts. I'm Courtney. So, question: has anyone seen the Terence Howard interview he gave on the PBD podcast? That's Patrick Ben David. And if you saw it, what did you think of it? He was talking about Puffy, and do you believe him? Well, my thoughts on that: I fully believe Terence Howard. Not because, Terence Howard wouldn't tell a lie. I don't know Terence Howard like that, okay? But none of us know these celebrities, not unless you know a celebrity, But I'm just saying, listening to him, I'm like, he wouldn't, you wouldn't really have a reason to just out of nowhere say that. What clout are you trying to get at this point for Terence Howard? Like, I'm just saying, because the reason why I'm bringing it up, because people are like, oh, he's looking for clout. I'm like, why? Like, no man actually wants to talk about that, in my opinion. Now, he says that Puffy had reached out to him to get some acting lessons from him. And he said, okay. He goes to, I guess, his house to help him with some acting. And he said Puffy's just sitting around looking at him. He said then he's like, okay, well, let me see the script. And he's trying to help him. Puffy is just looking at him from what he says. Then he says Terence says, he says that Puffy was like, oh, I heard you do music. Can I hear some of your music? And he was like, well, yeah, he had it on him, I guess. And he says he's just staring at him. And he said the whole time, Puffy is just staring at him. He said, so it's like, I guess I'm getting ready to be out of here. Like, what is transpiring at this point? And he said his assistant was there. Terence Howard's assistant was there and said, he said he wants to hang out with you again. And Terence said, for what? And the assistant said, well, I think he wants to F you. And he was like, oh, okay, now I know. Like, to hands off, none of that. And I'm like, wow, I'm listening to him talk about this like, no, this is horrible. Like, Puffy, bro. And then, he started talking about how men get tried in that industry. I call the entertainment industry Hollywood. Period, point blank. These people do entirely too much for some money. Not all of them. Because I do believe Terence Howard. I believe that he was tried. He even brought up he had been tried by some producers, and he threatened to knock their head off, punch them in the mouth, and all kind of stuff. He was like, I'm a man. You're not getting ready to test my man card. And like, I don't do that. He was like, I don't do kissing scenes. I don't with men. He was like, I'm not getting ready to do a homosexual scene. He was like, I'm just not. He said, because that's not me. And I'm just not getting ready to do that. And I respect that. No one should have to do that. Like the situation with Denzel Washington. No one, that was paying attention understood why did Denzel Washington, you're talking about retiring, and why did you feel the need to tell us nobody leaked this, that in that movie Gladiator that you kissed a man? He was like, yeah, I kissed him square on the mouth. And the studio didn't put that part in there, thought it was too much. Why did you feel the need to say that? And I'm just like, because like Terence Howard was saying, once you do this, it's no real coming back from that, because the guy that was interviewing him, Patrick Ben David, was like, do you think like with people like Justin Bieber, that's why, he has had issues in the past? He said, yeah. He said, that is why people start doing drugs. That's why people start drinking. He was like, because they're trying to get it out and not even think about it. They're trying to erase their memory, and that's not going to erase, like Terence Howard was also talking about how, women, to go through a lot of this, to get to a certain plateau in that world. And my thing is it really that serious? You know, what is wrong with just being a good actor, being a good entertainer? You know, why is in that world you have to bend over, lay down, gap your legs or whatever to get ahead? That's sick. That's demonic. Like, why is it like that? And my mind goes to, who was the minister of music in heaven? Lucifer. And I'm like, it just makes me feel like, you know, Lucifer is all in the music industry, anything to do with entertainment. Because why is everything so demonic in that world? It literally makes no sense whatsoever. You can't just be talented. You can't just be, oh, I can really sing. I got lyrics for days. Oh, I can really act. I'm a thespian. No. Even some of the people I've seen get certain roles, we've all seen them. You're like, how did they get that? Well, because it might not be a good acting job or whack or whatever. They more than likely possibly did something with someone. It's sad. It's really sad. So no, I don't believe the man is lying, because that's the question I've seen online. Like, is Terence Howard telling the truth? I'm like, I just don't think he would lie about that, only because, he's sitting there talking about being a man. I don't want to even talk about that really, if it did not happen. That doesn't even make sense. This is beyond clout chasing. So yeah, Puffy, this situation is ridiculous. I was thinking about what he's being charged with. And I said, the RICO charge thing might be too much. And I had heard an attorney talk about that. He was like, they need to just focus on what he actually did. And I was thinking about that too. I said, he's going to end up walking, because I've been hearing a lot of people saying, Puffy might get out because of these charges. Like, it's not right. They're not charging him right. And I'm just thinking about all the people he have affected in a horrible manner. And I think about Usher, and I think about Justin Bieber, because Usher, I don't know if he struggled, when he was a younger man, with what potentially may have happened to him in New York when his mother just gave over rights to Puffy, because he's a grown man now. He just seemingly have moved past it. I don't know. But Justin Bieber seems to be really struggling. Something happened to that young man. It might not just be Puffy. It probably is other people, because they talk about, certain people getting passed around and stuff in that world. That is just so sad. I mean, this is just so ridiculous. So yeah, what do you think? Do you believe that Terence Howard was telling the truth about the situation with Puffy? I do. Yeah, Puffy had them issues. It's just ridiculous how he was conducting himself. And I remember, when Jaguar Wright was talking about, it just seems like he was doing what was done to him, and he got a taste for it, a thing for it, and just kept doing it. Man, this is sad. But hey, let me know what you think in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe, and catch you on the next one.